Do we have a quorum? I don't know if we do.
We have 4 out of 8. I don't know if that's enough. I see Kathy is on. Do you know if exactly half is sufficient?
I think it needs to be more than half.
So 5.
Yeah.
We currently do have 8. Like
Yeah.
with
Voting
the vacancy, yeah.
I don't think we have any actions to take or vote on for this other than minutes approval, so we can.
Do we have 8 or do we have 9? Is that the correct person list?
I'm counting 5.
That is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, but Stephen is not voting.
Okay. Okay, are we good to go then in that case?
We still need 5. Do we have 5?
Well, you can continue with the meeting, you just can't approve the minutes. I mean, that's really the only thing. You can hold those over until next month.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, that sounds good. We can.
Or if you end up with a quorum later in the meeting, you can always go back to that item and do it.
All right.
I guess we'll call it to order then.
So closed captioning is available on the desktop version of Microsoft Teams. To enable closed captioning, click the 3 dots at the top of the window and click Turn on Live Captions. Unfortunately, captioning is not available for the web browser of Teams. And then let's do roll call. Aaron Artiega.
Present.
Oh, present.
Cool. We do it.
Great.
Okay.
Anna Balikova.
Present.
Thank you. Linda Delgado is not here. Mitchell Henke.
Present.
Montavious Jones. Not here.
No.
Kathleen Minnick. Kathleen Minnick. Here.
I haven't seen her yet. No.
Ben Teal.
Present.
Barry Weber.
Present.
And then Stephen Owen. Not here, I believe. Because he's on the invited. Okay, and then our public safety representative and DCD representative spots are currently vacant. Okay, so I suppose we need to skip approval of the minutes.
We do have, because Aaron is here, we can do. So I guess we'll just get started. Yeah,
yep,
thank you.
Go ahead.
So we have the minutes from last time were sent out. Anybody's gotten take a chance to look. They look good to me.
Mm-hmm.
Were there any corrections or anything anybody want added?
I move to approve.
Second.
Any objections? Cool. And they're approved. We can move on, or actually, I guess one note. Alina's not here, and she asked to hold the discussion on daylighting until next time, so we're going to skip that on the agenda today. But our first item on the agenda is a discussion on the KK River Trail Connections project. Stacy Zimmerman from DPW's.
Yep, I'm present. I'm just bringing up my presentation now.
Cool.
1 second, please.
Sure. Somebody's trying to join.
Kathleen.
Kathleen's here now.
Okay. I will mark Kathleen that you are here.
All right. Hi, everyone. Should I start, Marissa?
Yeah, go ahead.
All right. I'm sorry. This PDF is super huge and it's still loading. But while that's loading, my name is Stacy Zimmerman with the City of Milwaukee DPW. I'm a project engineer in the Major Projects Department. And I am co-managing the KK River Trails Connection Project with Kate Rudin, which I assume everybody knows who Kate is. Let's see if I can just share my screen. Okay, can you see my screen now?
Yes.
Okay. So this is a presentation that was put together by our consultant for the project. This was for the Stakeholder Advisory Committee. I brought up this one because it's a good overview of the project. So the goal of this project, if it goes to the next page. There we go. The goal of this project is to install 2 miles of all ages and abilities on-street connections between a couple disjointed segments of the KK River Trail and connecting it to the Hank Aaron Trail as well. So I'll zoom in on the map. Let's see. So the northern segment let's see. Okay, sorry about this. So the northern segment connects over by Jefferson Street, kind of over where Summerfest is, goes over to Young Street, crosses the river, and then goes down Pittsburgh to the connection on the Hank Aaron State Trail, all the way over on the west side. And then the on-street connection will go down Water Street and connect up to where the trail starts, kind of over by Boone and Crockett on Water Street. And then we are skipped down because that's where the trail already exists. And the trail lets out on Maple. So we'll be picking it up there, going on Maple, down First Street, all the way to where the trail is existing on the south end. So those are that's the 2 mile segment that we are connecting with on-street bike accommodations. So the accommodations that were considered were one-way protected bike lanes or a 2-way cycle track, which depending on the location in the street, whichever made more sense for the area, we actually are utilizing both of these alternatives. So I'll skip to the map, which also takes a little bit to load, but I feel like this is the best way to really show where the project is located. So the segment starts over here on Jefferson Street. I assume you can see my mouse too, right?
Yes.
Okay. Starts over on Jefferson Street with, oh, and I should also caveat that these plans are about in the 60% stage. So that means that we still have to write a design study report and an environmental document, which gets approved by WSDOT because this project is utilizing federal funding. So once those documents are approved by WSDOT, then that means that it's really a real project. It is a project now, but it's still all being proposed. Nothing is finalized. And so these are our proposed alternatives for right now. We are currently discussing with MCTS to see if they will move a bus stop, what are their needs. This trail does cross a state highway, which means that WISDOT will have say on what we do on those roadways. And yeah, so this is what is proposed currently. I don't know if anybody.
The section of state highway is like Pittsburgh and crossing First. Is that
Correct.
the only state highway? Okay.
Yep, so it'll be. So it's, yeah, State Highway 32, which the trail will run along State Highway 32 on Pittsburgh. And then when we pick it back up on the southern segment, we're crossing at KK and Maple. So the trail picks up, starts on Menominee Street over by Jefferson. And that is it's a protected bike lane with bollards and also with parking. Man, I'm sorry, this file is really huge. So, I mean, if anybody has particular intersections or particular segments that they're really interested in, I would be happy to discuss. Otherwise, as my file loads, I can just scroll through the project area.
Stacy, you could send this our way too, right? For the group to download on their own?
I think, well, what is currently being shared is available on a, so what's the website that we use now? It's
Okay.
Engage NKE.
Yeah, Mitch already, like, he knows where to find it. So, okay, good.
Yep. So what's publicly available is on that site. There's also a map where it has the whole trail segment mapped, and we've received a ton of comments from the public. We've had outreach at Harborfest, at a couple different bike events, and we've really gotten good responses so far. So starting on Menominee Street, that's a separated bike lane with it's parking protected, which means that it's on the curbside. Going into the intersection here, this is an all-way stop intersection, and then the lanes will continue on the curbside going down Young Street. Another feature that we'll be adding is through the intersections, there will be green paint to try to notify vehicles that they should also be looking out for bikes in addition to pedestrians at the intersections. It's also a separated bike lane going down Young Street. And then that segment will continue down Pittsburgh to be consistent. There's a huge median down Pittsburgh right now, and we are extending the median just with paint to make it wider and limiting that roadway just to one lane in each direction. So in addition to providing the biking facilities, we are also trying to use various traffic calming measures to try to restrict the flow of traffic and to get people to slow down, because I know in this curve particular, people take it rather fast. So by restricting the lane, by only having one lane, that'll also give bicyclists basically it's less lanes of traffic to cross when they are going south onto Water Street.
It's 4 lanes total now, correct?
Current, yes. 2 lanes in each direction. One intersection that will be noticeably different will be the intersection of Pittsburgh and First Street. One of the goals of this project is we really wanted to close off the pork chop on the south side of the road, which means it's the slip lane for when you're going north on First Street, turning east onto Menominee. You can see right here, I have the lane marked as closed. So there will be still 2 lanes that are going north, but that'll increase visibility for the biker and limit people who are turning right. So it won't be, when you're a biker crossing the intersection, you won't have to look as many directions for traffic. This intersection, though, is still under discussion because we do have an MCTS bus stop on the pork chop. So we'll see if we'll be moving that far side or further south. The bike lane will continue to the west. And then once you get to the Freshwater Plaza area, we've decided to leave that bike lane as is because that segment has permeable pavement and we do have limited budget for the project. So then going south onto Water Street. This is where we will be utilizing the two-way cycle track. The cycle track will be located on the west side of the road. And one of the major reasons for that decision was that there are less, where's my screen? There are less driveways on the west side of the street, so there'll be less conflict points. Also, the pavement condition is currently better on the west side. I don't know why, but on the east side, it is rather broken up. All right, so going south then, there's the two-way cycle track. Should continue onto my page 2 once it loads. And then any roadway that intersects Water Street going to the west, you will also see green paint marking to notify drivers of the bicyclists. And then eventually, this is really slow, and then eventually the trail will meet up with the existing segment on the south side. And we will have to cross the bikes from the west side to the east in order to enter the trail, which is located on the east side of the road.
There was a good question in the chat about the railroad tracks there. Is anything being done with those?
We are currently coordinating with the railroads. There are various options to try to make, so your tires don't get stuck in it. There are various options to try to make the surface a little flatter. I don't know if that's going to happen, but design-wise, what we are doing is that's the area where we are crossing the bicyclists to the east side. So you will be going over the tracks perpendicular. So hopefully that will make less of a conflict, but the railroad will still be there.
And as you keep going, there's also particular interest in the KK and Maple and First and Beecher intersections.
Sure. Oh, I'm not going to go back up to the north because this is taking forever to load, but the Water Street and Menominee intersection, I know has also been a point that a lot of people wanted to discuss. There is currently funding to signalize that intersection. The problem is it's for one intersection, you usually want to tie it onto a larger project. So although there is funding and it has been designed, they're looking for a larger project to tie it into, which there will be a larger project going through the area that will be constructed in about 2027. In the meanwhile, with this project, which we are currently estimating that construction will take place during the summer of 2025, we are looking into potentially adding a beacon at the Water and Menominee intersection as measure that'll be in place at least until the intersection gets signalized. So to talk about the railroad, the only place on Water Street where the railroad will be crossed is at this crossing. So we'll be we're also considering adding an all-way stop to this intersection. And then the bicycles will come from the two-way cycle track, will cross on the dashed green crossing, and then we'll enter onto the existing KK River Trail. I believe there is a crossing on the existing KK River Trail, but we are not touching any of the existing trails with this project. We are just connecting through on-street accommodations. All right, and then the trail lets out kind of in a back alley area where there's a loading dock. I don't know how familiar everybody is with this project area. But the trail let out and it comes up to, this is the intersection that you mentioned, the KK and Maple intersection. So this intersection, there are no plans to signalize it in the near future. I know many people have asked about it, but if basically it has to meet the warrants of the city of Milwaukee. So first there has to be a request. Our traffic section will have to investigate if a traffic signal is needed. And then one of the big things is a funding source and approving it by the state, because this is also a state highway. So at this time, we don't have the warrants or the budget to signalize this intersection. But in order to make it safer for all users, we will be installing a rapid flashing beacon. So you will be able to activate it on either end of the trail in order to cross the road. I know there's been discussion on the east side about removing parking, which it has been removed for a while. I don't know, that's kind of gone back and forth. Our preference obviously would be to remove parking on that side and have a bump out.
Been removed basically all of this year.
It has.
Yeah.
But I believe from just recent information, I thought it would be removed permanently, but I believe there's a new tenant in that building who wants parking, and I'm not sure that goes under, the decision lies with the alderman and our traffic section. So I'm not sure where we're going to land on parking in that segment. We would love to have it closed and to have a bump out in order for the bikers coming off of the trail to be more visible, especially to the drivers that are coming north. But at this time, I'm not sure how that'll end up. But we will try to place the rapid flashing beacons in a spot where it's most visible for the drivers, but also convenient for the bicyclists.
Is there anything changing about this project because of the uncertainty in the parking there?
There might be. So like I said, we're at the 60% design phase. As we move into final design, which should, let's see, I think we will be later next year is when we will have the final plans. So hopefully by end of spring, summer, we should have a final design on this intersection.
I guess maybe a more specific question. If the parking were confirmed to be gone, that would make space for a bump out that would potentially go in on the southeast corner there?
Potentially. Yeah, whether or not we have parking would likely change the design at the intersection.
Thank you. Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have a more definite answer at this time. And then we wanted to continue the trail like feel down Maple. So there will be a two-way cycle track on the south side of the road. And then this intersection looks a little confusing, but it is one of the, let's see, best alternatives to try to get people. Let's see, this can load. Which we will add additional signage to try to make this a little less confusing. But basically anyone who is coming west down the trail will either, in order to continue straight, they'll have to cross north and then go west. And that'll lead them out onto the on-street bicycle facilities that already exist, which I believe might be a Cheryl on this road. Or they can continue across the green hatching and go south. So our main goal was the green paint isn't just for any bicycle facility. We're trying to clearly show where the trail connections are. So our main concern was to get the people who are coming from the cycle track south to continue on the trail, but also provide a clear indication of where you should be going if you're going straight, which would be off trail. we were thinking about closing this pork chop, but at this time, money-wise and with the geometry of the intersection, we're not going to be able to accomplish that with this project. But there are future plans and hopefully future funding where we'll be able to close this slip lane. Going south then, we're back to the separated bike facilities on curbside with parking on the east side. And the reason why parking is on the east side, that was determined because during the course of this project, we have been talking to all of the businesses along the trail, and the greater need for parking was on the east side of this roadway segment. But once we hit the bridge, which will load, parking will switch to the west side of the road. And the parking lanes will, the bicycle lanes will continue south.
Is there need for any parking on the southern end? Both the Lincoln warehouse and the new development across the street have a lot of off-street parking there.
You're talking south of the river?
Yes.
Yeah. I know what you're saying, but there is room for parking. Another reason is we are restricting the driving lanes. So we do have the roadway width to include parking. So in a way, it takes up space, but also provides a service. Let's see if this is loading.
There was
Another-
as you were speaking, just supporting that, closing that slip lane would be good.
We agree. So here's the new development too, with, I believe, residential, commercial, and there has been a noted increase in traffic, especially people who are coming kind of fast out of the parking lots. So just in this segment, it's shown as solid lines right here, but it'll actually just be striping. We decided that from Beecher to the river, it was important to mark out all of the driveways, just so with this new traffic pattern to get the drivers used to the fact that there will be bikers curbside, and also for the bikers to notice that they are crossing a entry into one of the businesses, because the building on the east side does have multiple entrances into their parking lot. And then as you can see, the parking shifts to the west side of the road. The Beecher intersection was recently redone with bump outs. So we're leaving the bump outs as is. And I think all of the green paint out there is existing. Does anyone have questions on this segment while it's loading?
Hi, Stacy. I do. On the northeastern corner of that intersection, Beecher and First, it's a difficult corner to take on a bike heading westbound on Beecher to turn right onto First Street.
Okay.
Given how
So
the bump
heading-
out forms with the bike lane, yeah. Sorry.
So this is the movement you're describing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm wondering if that could be reconfigured in some way to make that less of an acute angle.
Are you talking
I've
about
noticed
the
several
actual
people who-
bump out?
Yeah. I've noticed several people using that bike lane who will actually use the curb cut at the sidewalk to get onto First Street rather than staying in the roadway around the bump out.
Okay. I'll mention that to the project team. I haven't heard that one yet.
Great, thank you. Anecdotally, from a personal perspective, it's even more difficult to do if your bike is loaded down with groceries or cargo or anything else. Or if you have a longer than average bike.
Right. I'll mention that to our project team. I'm not sure if we can do anything, because we are focused on the trail, but the multimodal team did just place that out there, and I will definitely tell them your comments as well.
Great, thanks.
And then going further south on First Street.
Hold on, I'm sorry. Stacy, I got it. This is Jake. I have a quick question on it. I want to, first of all, second, I can't see who just said that, but I want to second that right turn movement from the protected lane on Beecher North is a very challenging right turn out into the lane. So if you do have like a car turning left, there's a instant conflict point there. So second that. Also, those lights at that intersection have been on temporary construction poles since the beginning of this. Is there any plans to finish and install all the lights instead of having them blocking the sidewalk on concrete blocks?
I don't know that currently, but I could ask our traffic section, and Marissa can follow up with the group later.
Yeah, I'll add that they're like behind the old ones, and so they're kind of blocked actually, which can be kind of difficult.
Yeah.
Add signals.
And I've been told, I think Mike Amson told me that they were waiting on some sort of supply issue, but that it's getting, no offense to anyone personally there, it's getting kind of ridiculous that they can't get the supply after 2 years of signs or whatever they're waiting for. So, and yeah, Mitch is right. It's being blocked. I don't know. It's still a very frustrating intersection for people on bikes.
Okay. I will relay the message, and I will see what information I can find. I can say, though, that a lot of our ordering for supplies or traffic lights, and you have to place orders at least sometimes a year in advance. Supplies are still kind of crazy right now.
Understood. Thank you.
But yeah, I haven't been there personally, and I will follow up with your question. Going south then on First Street, there will be parking on the west side of the road. Bike lanes will be protected and curbside. And then eventually, the last part of the trail is to cross people to the east to meet up with the existing trail, which is a beautiful trail with a beautiful sign. And when I started working on this project, I didn't even realize that the trail started there. And Kate has a separate project going on that will install a lot of signs, and it's a great plan for wayfinding. So I think that'll be installed with this project. So hopefully that'll increase awareness of the trails and make people more aware of the options that are out there. All right. I know as this plan is shown, there are still a couple changes that will be done before the final design. So the lanes continue going south. And then if you are a biker heading south, there's a bike box here designated where you should stop and wait to cross the road going south, and then to cross going east. And then there is a small portion here that has a two-way cycle track. That's to make it convenient for people who are getting on and off of the trail, and also for anyone who's coming off of the trail and going west. We don't want you crossing the road at this location because it's too close to the intersection. The best, safest way to do it was to have a two-way cycle track leading people back to the intersection, which then they can cross the road, go north, and then continue on Lincoln. The part that's not shown on this plan is that there is a new development, which I don't remember how many units. It's quite a few hundred, I believe, of apartment buildings that will be going in this long, narrow strip. It doesn't touch First Street, but it's kind of off to the side where this old manufacturing plant was. And I believe they will be starting that rather soon, within the next year. So we will try to connect this trail. The two-way cycle track, I believe, will continue to the east in order to allow access from this development. There will also be a bike lane on the north side. I'm not sure if it's protected or not with bollards, to allow anyone who is coming from further east to continue to go east and on Lincoln. To continue to go west on Lincoln. There will be a lane on the north side of the road, because I know not everyone in this area is coming here strictly for the trail. There's also people who are just commuting and going down the roadway.
We have a couple people with raised hands. Ben, too. Ben?
I'm wondering, Stacy,
Mhm.
about this intersection and First and Maple, if diagonal green crossings could be considered instead of the perpendicular 90-degree crossings. I'm just concerned that fewer people would use them if they have to make a 2-point crossing, 2-point turn to cross the intersection rather than diagonally straight across. Excuse me. Specifically, in this case, in your example, folks heading south on First in order to get to the trailhead, and
Yeah.
folks heading west or northwest from the trailhead.
No, that is an interesting idea. And a lot of campuses have what you would call like, what's it called? A pedestrian scramble, I believe, where they basically shut down all vehicular traffic and then pedestrians can cross any direction. We did not consider diagonal crossings, but that doesn't mean that we can't consider it. It's just, it hasn't really been done in the area, and we are making quite a few changes. And we do want vehicles to, we don't want to surprise people too much. We want to provide the facility that will be safer for everyone, but also you don't want to throw something a little bit too unique without introducing the concept first. Like, remember the first time the roundabouts came to our area, how the news was like, and this is how you enter and this is how you yield, and changing people's behavior sometimes is the most difficult part. But I will bring that up to the team. We really haven't considered that.
I have a follow-up to that briefly. This is my daily intersection on my commute twice a day, and I think extra care needs to be given to folks heading west on Lincoln from Bayview to get to this trailhead. I make that left turn across the 2 lanes of traffic every day, heading west on Lincoln to get into the trailhead. I'm sure that I wouldn't be alone, and I'm wondering if this is built as it appears now. What is the plan for people heading west on Lincoln? Are they supposed to turn left across the intersection? Or
No,
sorry,
so
across the street without the intersection, or can there be an intersection
Let
crossing
me
there?
just
Sorry.
Yes. Clarify to make sure I get your question. So you're coming from the east, going west on Lincoln, and then you are going south onto the KK River Trail?
Exactly. Yes, I do that
Okay.
at least once a day.
Yep. So that's also part that's not currently shown. Like I said, I'll explain it. Coming from the trail currently, if you were to cross directly across the street, that is too close to the intersection to be done safely. So with the new development that is going in, there will be a crossing, a mid-block crossing further to the east. So it'll line up with the new development. So if you are coming off of the new development, you'll be able to cross straight south and then use the two-way cycle track to access the trail. If you're coming from further east, you will also meet up with that crossing, use the mid-block crossing at the new development, and then continue on the two-way cycle track to the trail.
I'm not sure I understand. I'm sorry. So the two-way cycle track will be continued east of the trailhead?
Correct.
The current trailhead? Okay, okay. I'm just concerned that the current design might encourage people to salmon in the bike lane.
You mean
in
go in
order to
between
go
people?
westbound in the eastbound bike lane? Does that
Go
make
the
sense?
wrong way.
Go the wrong way.
Oh, okay. I'm not familiar with that term.
You're going upstream.
Yeah,
Right.
I like
Thanks,
it.
Mitch.
Yeah.
I see a lot
So-
of that. I see a lot of salmoning, so to speak, in Bayview daily.
Mhm.
I'm just, I want to minimize that if possible at this intersection at the trailhead. Thank you very much.
Yep. Yeah. So basically, there will be a mid-block crossing where my arrow currently is coming off of the development. So hopefully that will avoid what you're talking
great.
about.
Yes, that's sorely needed. Thank you very much.
Our other raised hand is Cade.
I was just wondering, as part of the new development, if the old rail right away is being preserved, because there could be a trail there, and there used to be a bridge right there, so it could be a good connection in the future.
Mhm.
I think
Yeah.
the trail is part of it, right? Or it's been discussed to have a trail going through the development.
Through the development, I'm not sure. The railroad bridge connects, I believe, to the parcel that's slightly to the east of where the new development, I mean, slightly to the west, sorry, of where the development is going in. I know that the bridge was taken down, but yeah, that would have been awesome if the trail continued off street. And all I know is that the bridge was taken down, and I'm not sure of the future plans.
Did any committee members or members of the public have any questions or comments?
Did you review keeping the Water Street segment on the west side all the way through to the KK Trail? Or did we just say that there's a trail on the east side, so let's connect to it? Because now you're going back and forth across water twice in like a half a mile. Should have done well, it's a big deal, but it's obviously.
Wait. Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing. Could you repeat the question?
I'm yelling in the corner.
I can, the question was, the new two-way cycle track on South Water is on the west side, and having to move to the east side means you have to do that twice. Was any consideration given to staying on the west side the entire time? Is that?
Yes, yeah, because on the south side, you go back, west again.
Yeah. So as this project was specifically designed to connect existing trails. So no, we did not consider moving the existing trail with this project. We were just connecting to it. And we did consider putting the two-way cycle track on the east side of the road, but based on the amount of entrances for parking and the businesses and the current condition of the road, that was why the two-way cycle track was chosen to go on the east side of the road. But no, we are not changing existing off-street facilities with this project.
Our next raised hand is Anna.
Hey, I want to say thank you so much for coming in this morning and going over this in such detail with us. I'm wondering, so we've put in some of the parking protected lanes now in many parts of the city, which is very exciting. But we have seen some issues with cars using those. I'm wondering if we've learned anything or if we have any thoughts about like whether it's like a barrier at the entrance or whatever it is to like try to help keep cars out. Especially I'm thinking like towards the north part of the project area. I think I have less concerns about that coming down like in the southern part, but like up by Menominee, like it's a very busy area. And yeah, just wondering if we have any thoughts about how we can keep cars out of the shiny new facilities.
Yeah, no, it definitely is a change in behavior. I know we had a lot of trouble with that downtown on Kilbourne. You still have cars occasionally that park in the bike lane. Really, we will be installing bollards. We are looking at different kinds of bollards to use. Like, are there ones that we can actually pin onto the street that will be more like a speed bump to try to stop people from crossing? Are we using bollards that are a little more rigid that people will see and obviously not want to hit? The kind of barricade or bollard that we will be using is still up for discussion, and it may change throughout the project area. But But really, sorry to say, but kind of just having the facility there, and slowly people's behavior will change once they start realizing that there is a change in the traffic pattern. I don't know if Marissa has anything to add to that. That's a little bit more in your group.
Well, we've just generally been having some discussions about how to filter traffic and make sure that that vehicles aren't getting into pedestrian and bicycle spaces. We don't have any good answers yet, but Stacy's summary of like looking into different types of bollards and that sort of thing is definitely being considered currently. Ben has his hand raised.
I have a question about the Young Street Broadway Bridge. If we can circle back to that real quick. The bike lanes shown are curbside, and I'm wondering what the surface of the bike lanes will be. Will they be the metal plates, or is something else going to take their place?
Nope, it will still be the existing metal plates. We did talk about that with this project, and so just so you have a little bit of background, those metal plates are specifically fabricated for the exact location that they go in on the bridge. So we can't even like pick up the plates and move them a little bit. You would have to refabricate the plates, and that also changes the loading of the bridge. And so it kind of snowballs into like, I believe it was around $250,000 to $300,000 just for the cost of the plates, not even for the design. And then anytime you're changing it, because the bridge does move, we need to balance the bridge for loading for when it opens. So it just priced us right out of really doing anything to change that bridge.
Thanks very much for that clarification.
Yep. With our
they're really
construction,
important plates.
yeah, with our construction dollars for this project, we are just shy of $1 million. So that's the amount of money that we are playing with on this project and trying to, and that's also why the freshwater plaza area, we determined that that area of the trail was working quite well as designed. And so we are trying to put our money into the more troublesome areas.
Thank you.
Yeah, there was also a comment from Jake about school buses in the protected bike lane on Lapham, just generally that this is a problem throughout the city. And he also asked about reporting a non-functional beacon. For that sort of thing, if you see problems in the city that can be repaired, please use either 286 City or there's a Click for Action website and app that you can utilize.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Jimmy Schumacher has his hand raised.
Oops, sorry. Accidentally hit that one.
Oh, okay.
I really appreciate your time. Are there any other comments or questions?
I mean, if all goes according to plan, when's the projected completion date?
We're looking at construction for spring, early summer of 2025, and it will be completed by the fall. It's just one construction season.
Sure.
Anna has her hand raised.
Yeah, sorry, one more for me. I know you said this earlier, but can you remind us who is the decision maker for that parking at the KK and Maple intersection? So like, to whom should this committee direct our sentiments on that question?
I mean, really, it would be the aldermen.
Okay, thank you.
I think they have the final say and they provide direction. So yes, if you want to tell them one way or another, it would go through the alderman.
Another letter to write.
Yeah, just a clarifying question. So if there's commitment to not put parking back, that would give you more options for traffic safety at the First and Maple intersection. Is that fair to say?
It's fair to say that it'll influence our design. We'll make it as safe as possible either way.
Yes, but you would have more options with more space. Is that?
I mean,
different options.
More space always gives you more options.
Okay, that's great. I appreciate that. Cool. I think that's all we have. I really appreciate your time and going through it in such detail. I'm really excited for the project.
Yeah. Thanks for your interest in the project. We're excited about it. I'm really excited for the additional wayfinding that'll go in as well. So not only will we have these new facilities with new paint and post and hopefully direction to tell people where they're going.
Cool. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Bye, Marissa.
Thank you.
Bye.
I guess we have a very south side agenda today. The next item is a Beecher Street I-43 project with WisDOT, and I think Jimmy Schumacher is here to speak about it. Is that right, Jimmy? Is that your preferred?
Yep. You guys can call me Jimmy here. Yeah, just want to thank you for getting us on the agenda and reaching out here. So we're really excited about this project, and we've been working with the city over the past year or so on it, and some of the decisions that get made on this. Certainly would like the bike and pedestrian group's opinion on some of these design details. I also have Danielle Del Conte with WisDOT. She's the lead designer on this, and then my supervisor, Wafa Elcock, is here as well. So I am the project manager in Southeast Freeways from WisDOT, and be happy to share the screen here. Let me know when you guys are able to see the presentation, and we'll get going here.
We can see it.
Perfect. All right. I'm just gonna turn off my camera here just for bandwidth. Yeah, so again, thanks Marissa for inviting us. I was asked to kind of give a brief update on this. We'll try to keep the focus related to bike ped, but can kind of give an overall kind of where we were and where we're going on this one. So again, the location is, at the I-43 and Beecher Street interchange in the city of Milwaukee. We are aware the interest in this area. It's a good segue from the last presentation with the trail just adjacent to this, but obviously there's been the Michaels development that's been added recently, as well as the reconstruction of Beecher Street just up to the bridge over the KK River there, and the road diet, and the improvements you guys made with the separated bike facilities and tying that all in. There's a couple upcoming projects we have been working with the city of Milwaukee and MMSD on. There is a green infrastructure project. I'm not sure. It seems like some of you guys are familiar with the area. I think the barrels finally just started going out there. So MMSD is proposing some green infrastructure underneath the 43 structures there. You can kind of see on the right side of the screen. There's some bioswales and rivers or like stream beds to collect some of that water from the top of the freeway system. A couple other things along the south side of Beecher Street and the north side of Beecher Street. They had worked with the city and are proposing a shared use path in that area there. That I think you guys can see this, as well as those 4 curb ramps that are being updated. So once this project finishes up, we'll be going out there to collect some survey just to make sure that our improvements, for the overall interchange fit this footprint that they've kind of designed here. And then, we're also aware of the development just to the east here for the Filer and Stowell Lofts development as well. So a lot going on in this area. So one of the things that brought this project to light here, we did have the recent resurfacing of the main line in 22, and there were some ramps that were pulled out, from the stretch from the Marquette interchange to the Mitchell interchange. There was some right of way with the curb ramps that caused some issues, but we had heard concerns from the city as well as, the local stakeholders in the area, just the pavement condition on this. We know we've kind of neglected this for a long time, as well as some of the operational and safety concerns related to the scissor ramp. It's probably one of the most confusing interchanges in the state here. So we did kind of circle back and revisit some of the crashes that we had seen here, just to see if we could get any, additional boost. We wanted to look at this more than just a pavement replace in kind project, just knowing the city's thoughts on that as well as some of maybe the public backlash that we would get there. So as we look through the crashes in a bit more detail, we did see that confusion with the scissor ramps, as well as, the lack of monotubes at this location, failure to yield, crashes, as well as, drivers missing those scissor ramps. So for example, if you were to be going north along 4th Street and you missed the scissor ramp to go westbound onto Beecher, vehicles would continue along that frontage road, come through the intersection kind of as shown in this picture, and, then make a left while, the off ramp on ramp also had a green. So a lot of crashes that we had seen there. And then more specifically at the scissor ramps themselves, especially for the 4th Street scissor ramps, failure to yields. And again, there's been lack of marking on, both WSDOT's and the city of Milwaukee, that marking has faded throughout the entire interchange there as well. So yeah, kind of the update I wanted to give you today. We just put out our 30% plans in September, so the design is still kind of at that preliminary concept. There's the ways to go here and some coordination as well with all the things going on, but just kind of wanted to emphasize, our goal here is both to address the pavement condition as well as kind of make this project, something that the community can benefit from. There is the outstate, there's the thing, the corridor, the overall reconstruction of the corridor looming, say in the next, 20 or 25 years, so from the Marquette to the Mitchell. So this concept that you're seeing here is kind of to bridge the gap to that overall reconstruction, so we're looking for these improvements to be out there for 20 or 25 years. And then ultimately, with an upcoming study and stuff that, there could be additional improvements. So we're trying to get the most we can with, the constraints that we have existing out there. But this exhibit kind of shows bringing, the scissor ramp configuration to more of a traditional diamond interchange, reducing the conflict points and eliminating some of those extra intersections through here. On the next page, we can go in a little bit more details as well as the plans, but as we mentioned with the improvements to the east with the road diet down to a single lane, we are proposing a single lane on Beecher Street through here as well, and which would also improve some of the operations and extended left turn lanes for the dual lefts there. I did share these exhibits ahead of time to Marissa. So this PowerPoint, a PDF of the concept are out there. And as I mentioned, we did have 30% plans recently. So, and we are looking for as many comments as possible to improve this. But kind of more your focus, I'm sure what you guys are interested on is that connection to the east and, how we set this interchange up for, any improvements west of the interchange, that the city may have a project on. So I did mention the shared use path. So we are proposing to leave that in place on the north and south sides that will be built, hopefully completed by the end of November. I know they're kind of running on a time crunch here. We're also looking to bring in these right turn lanes to the on and off ramps at more of a 90-degree. You'll see at the off ramps, we've got those pretty close to 90. There were some comments at 30% to kind of eliminate this additional third lane in both the southwest and northeast quadrants. So that design will be modified to bring that in at more of a 90 as well. And we're still looking at whether those right turn lanes will be stop controlled or signalized. Currently, they're signalized. The city's expressed desire to change those to stop control. But yeah, these 4 quadrants are kind of where we're looking to refine. And I guess I just want to point out, we are trying to balance, bike ped needs with also the needs with the Port of Milwaukee and, this being a an interchange, oversized, overweight vehicles. So there is a bit of a balancing act there with what we can accommodate. We have marked some of these out, on the outsides to allow trucks to turn, but kind of get rid of that wider width that's currently out there, where sometimes you'll see two vehicles stacked in those right turn lanes, even though its intention is to be a single lane there. So just zooming in on this a little bit more, one of the biggest questions we have at WISDOT, and that we've been kind of going back and forth with, is how the city would like to see these bicycle accommodations through the interchange. I've got Danielle here as well to maybe get a little bit more detail if some questions pop up, but currently we're showing the bike lane on road, and then this shared use path. It's kind of hard to see where it's grayed out as it's existing, but the bikes would then come through, say, this ramp terminal and then onto the shared use path, and then continue to the west and then be dumped back on road. There has been some thoughts of possibly moving the bike lane onto, say, the sidewalk area, widening this out a little bit and having it more of, say, a roundabout style, where bikes would then proceed through, the slip lane and through the crosswalk. So I guess we can save some of those comments for the end if the city has any, specific opinions on that. This is, your road below, so we want to just make sure we're tying into this correctly, but it seems like there is a difference of opinion, and we're not opposed to either one here. Just to kind of focus more on the bigger picture, the city did express, for 5th and 4th Street, that the need for bicycle facilities along those frontage roads, it wasn't really a top priority for them based on the improvements that we just went over on 1st Street, with that key parallel route there. So this concept's a little bit outdated, but we are proposing a road diet along 4th Street to go from 2 lanes down to 1 lane, but there wouldn't be any bicycle improvements along these roads, just as I mentioned, due to the close proximity of that other bike corridor. And then we are continuing to refine, these 4 quadrants here, how this all ties in here. And then I guess I am not aware of anything to the west coming up on Beecher Street, but I just want to make sure that whatever improvements are there, that, there is flexibility in the future for that tying in as well. And then the last thing I just want to discuss, I have heard talk of improvements for Lincoln Playfield, as well as a potential river walk from Lincoln up to Beecher. We had been in some conversations with the Harbor District regarding this, as well as, what's going on with the school here. It looked like that was for sale on 4th Street. So there'll be some more outreach with them. But if there is, depending on how this river walk crosses Beecher Street, there is potential for improvements for a crossing at Beecher as well. As far as the project schedule goes, we're looking to wrap up our scoping this month. Again, our final design won't be approved until DSR next spring, shooting for May there. So there is still some time to make some of these adjustments or refinements to the plan. But ultimately, we're looking at construction in spring of 2026 for this project. Danielle, is there anything else you want to add regarding, the bike lanes along Beecher, just some of the design constraints or other things you're looking for as you proceed forward with this?
No, I think the only thing that we would love some guidance on is methods of protecting the bike lane. I know that we have it currently shown as painted, and whether we would add bollards in there to further add some separation. So yeah, we're definitely interested in hearing your feedback. I see there's a hand raised right now. from
Yeah,
Ben.
Yeah, please, Ben.
Hi, yeah, thanks. I just want to be clear. There will not be two shared use paths under the interchange.
Yeah, there will be one along the north side of Beecher as well as the south side of Beecher Street.
Okay,
And
great.
that was
Thank
kind
you.
of, we were debating, or I guess not with that, but we kind of passed this off to the city, whether what they wanted to see here in the shared use path was the consensus that they came up with.
we
Great,
do have
thank
a
you. Yeah.
question. Yeah, go ahead, sorry. We do have a question. Is there a link to a project website you can share? And are there any options for commenting on that website or any other particular way?
Sure. Yeah, the website is pretty vague right now, but we could forward over the 30% Bluebeam session that provides access. I think, Marissa, I did provide you with the 30% plans as well, that full plan set there. But I could provide you with the link to that review session, and there's some comments in there already, but certainly we'd be open to any more that came through here. We do plan on some public outreach next winter, or this upcoming winter / spring. And the website should have a little bit more information then, but certainly can get you something ahead of time there.
Cool. I appreciate this. And I would, I guess personally at least, kind of agree with the city in terms of having on-street facilities for 4th and 5th is not like all that critical. For me at least, a freeway on-ramp or frontage road is not going to be my first choice for traveling. But as far as the east-west, so you mentioned there is the potential to do an on-street painted one, which I think would be a difficult choice out of what's available, or a bad choice even. The sidewalk, I think, you said you would potentially make the sidewalk wider, and you'd kind of have like a 2-stage kind of potentially signalized or stop sign kind of controlled to get onto the shared use path underneath the freeway. Did I understand
Yeah,
that?
so yeah, like I said, we're waiting on some of the survey there and just confirming the right of way. We are trying to avoid right of way on this project, just because the pavement condition, we want to get out there as quick as possible. But there is a possibility, this bridge is fairly new, so at least in that northeast quadrant, we'd have to come off somewhere off of the west of the bridge here, but then, a potential widening through this area here between the existing sidewalk and the fence. And then, like you mentioned, yeah, that 2-stage crossing there. But I believe that, the way it's kind of set up, existing, or, with those recent improvements was, it does go from a separated facility, at least on the structure. That would be tough, any widening there, but certainly could kind of pull them back up before the interchange, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Jimmy, could you pull up the plan set that shows the like through line on Beecher? No, in the PowerPoint, sorry, the one that has the
Oh,
more zoomed
sure.
in view. Yep. So I guess from the kind of design perspective, and this is something that we would love feedback on, to kind of replace the sidewalk with more of a wider kind of continuation of the shared use path, getting the angle then through that pork chop island, would that be something that would be navigable by cyclists? Because it would be a pretty sharp right turn kind of from a wider shared use path and then sharp right through the island and then kind of down onto the multi-use path under the structure. The on-use facility would provide the most direct kind of straight through line, whereas alternative with a shared use path would kind of make that path pretty windy when you're trying to get through that island and then into the shared use path on the other side.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question. I know there are folks with cargo bikes and things that are, where the turn radius is a little bit more difficult, especially on those tight 90-degree turns. So if any of them are on the call and have thoughts on navigating those versus an on-street, maybe you said potentially bollard protected if it went straight through. Obviously,
Yeah,
of the right turn lane.
in that area, kind of right before the stop bar, you can see where it's kind of hatched out in there. We could potentially put bollards in there to provide some additional protection, or possibly even a concrete kind of curb. So while everyone is kind of waiting at the stop line, there is some physical separation between the vehicle lane and the cycling lane.
Comment here? Yeah, so as a point of reference, I'll try to yell. As a point of reference, LMD, Lincoln Memorial onto 794, there's the west side shared use path. Navigating that pork chop, where you've got the double right turn lane, it's fairly spacious. It's still kind of a pain in the ass. As making that kind of jagged right turn as she's describing. And also, the other general comment I have, if we have a light controlled right turn slip lane there, if it's prohibited right on red, that makes a huge difference, because I run into the issue all the time there specifically, which I know is getting changed, but as a point of reference, where cars are just flying through it. And so even though not only is it a hard turn, you really, you're kind of doing a bunch of tight turns and you can't see what you're doing and you can't see what's coming behind you.
Yeah, I think that's a good point. And it kind of reminds me of the roundabouts on Canal for the Hank Aaron. You have to kind of make these very tight turns. And so I don't know, I would be very curious on a broader set of feedback from different types of cyclists on what would be preferred there. But I appreciate that you all are thinking about it and looking for feedback on that.
Yeah, and I think that's, oh, sorry, I was gonna say that's a good point, that we can bring some of these specific comments, to a more formal public involvement meeting and kind of see what the users in this area would prefer, or go ahead. I think I cut someone off there.
No, you're good. I think Cade raised his hand. Go ahead, Cade.
I mean, I think some younger people could do it like me, but we also know people who take their kids in the back of their bikes or have trailers and stuff like that. And I mean, there are people who ride their bike all over like that. So just something to keep mindful, because there'll be kids and people with kids in the back of their bikes going through here.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it was possible to have a curb or other concrete separation on street as much as possible, I think I would be very interested in what that would look like. Because I think that it simplifies a lot, and really the big conflict point I think would be the right turn at that point, people crossing into the slip lane. But I'd be curious to see what everybody thinks.
Jake has Sanders. Oh, sorry.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, I was just,
thank you.
Go ahead, Jake.
As a cargo bike rider who also rides with children in this general vicinity, I think anything that can be done to continue the design that's east of here in some sort of continuity. I made the comment, you saw a truck was already parked in that bike lane in your satellite view. So the fact that you've got bike lane and then all of a sudden now it's parking and now we bump people out, that's got to be fixed. You can't just dump people into, that dangerous situation there. I would be in favor, I think, of widening that path on the west side of the river. And as far as making that sharp turn into the 2-stage, I think I agree with Mitch that the canal, A, there's that huge bump there that's been there for 15 years and no one seems to want to fix. B, it's very difficult to make a turn. So maybe it's a wider or more gradual like apron that can allow for that and not just the 2.5 foot wide sidewalk. And then, yeah, I mean, you're definitely going to have people flying through that slip lane to make their on-ramp, and where you're asking them to speed up at an on-ramp, I see people blow that stop sign all the time. So there's about 6 pinch points here, and I don't know if I have the overall solution today, but I think those all just need to be considered as far as the through connection there, and as much consistency as possible to not have it change 4 different times on where you are supposed to be riding through there.
Sure. No, absolutely. I appreciate your comments. This is a unique one we've got on our hands here. So I do want to point out a couple things. I know I said it before, but just emphasizing, that this is an interim improvement, but it's going to be out there for, say, the next 20 years. So we want to make it right. We don't want to put something that we're not happy with either. So we're looking at that. And then as well as, these slip lanes, WSDOT and the city of Milwaukee, there's been a larger discussion on, raised crosswalks and what goes along with that, or, from WSDOT's concerns are, some of the plowing or drainage, and then just maintenance of those. So that's a policy that's continues to be worked on, from our central office folks there. So that has also been a desire at those 4 quadrants. I'm hearing people running the lights, whether it's signalized or it's stopped, people are still maybe going to do what they're going to do. So, that raised crosswalk discussion is still out there. Like I said, it's still kind of being formed, but all of these improvements, what we're showing, that's kind of WSDOT's base. Anything WSDOT is funding this, that alternative 100%. But some of these other things we're mentioning, bollards and protection and those kind of things, that ultimately has to be agreed to be maintained by the city. And, there may be a slight cost share with that. So I just want to put that out there as well.
Thanks. And I just want to add one more point. Not my school, but there is a school south of there on 4th that I see lots of, like, at pickup, especially, right? Like there's a lot of increased traffic there. I don't know if you've talked with that school or, specifically, but definitely just a high traffic, and then, a situation to be monitoring, I guess, and maybe outreach to that school about what could be helpful for them to make pickup. Obviously, we'd love to see all the kids biking there, but there is the reality that there's a lot of cars coming through there for pickup, interacting with the off ramp.
Sure.
We have reached out to that school. It actually was temporarily in use. It was a school that their original building was under renovation, so they're not actually permanently located at that area. They were renting it temporarily while their original building was being renovated.
Yeah, we're trying to have some more discussions with Mr. Drummel that owns this property, and what the ultimate purpose, whether that's going to remain a school or, or whether I thought I saw that was for sale, but I've reached out to the Harbor District to kind of help coordinate a meeting with them just to see what the future of that building is, whether it remains a school or if it is converted to some other sort of office space or something else.
Okay. Well, yeah, locating schools next to a freeway isn't really that great of an idea anyway.
Right.
But thank you. I didn't realize that there was temporary. Thank you.
Yeah, we'll do a little bit more follow up on there. Currently, the design does have, as I mentioned with the road diet, we are bumping this out, and then providing some space for school buses. But based on the video we had here, it looks like they kind of circulate through the parking lot, but we did want to kind of protect that drop off zone as well. But that'll continue to be refined.
Did any other committee members or members of the public have questions or comments? I think I like where the understanding is in terms of what needs to be figured out for the bicycle accommodations. I think hopefully there's a variety of feedback from different types of cyclists and different people. I don't know that there is an obvious answer here, but I think.
Yeah, so I'll get you that link. I'll extend it. I mean, if it'd be appreciated if we could say get comments in the next month or so. Like I said, we're kind of in a lull waiting on that MMSD project to wrap up. But yeah, be good to get a meeting of the minds here and some consensus on, what the best options are out here. We're certainly open to it. We're not experts by any means, and that's why we appreciated you guys reaching out to us today. Kind of talk further, get that out there.
Yeah, definitely appreciate you taking the time. And you said there was going to be like a public outreach meeting or something similar early next year.
Yeah, and we'll add, I guess, Marissa, if you maybe wanted to take the lead on that, we can forward that, future design meetings to you. The city's involved, but we can make sure this group's aware of it as well. And then, any public outreach, bike groups, all of that, we always look for your guys' help, as you guys are kind of more in the know on who's riding in the area and who to reach out to. So we don't want two people showing up at a meeting, right? So the more the merrier.
I'm sorry, can I just ask one more question about this before I know we want to move on? Just the oversized overweight issue here. I want to remind people that National Avenue is an oversized overweight, and we've seen a lot of creative changes in proposed designs there. Additionally, this is to debate about 790. That's going to, have any impact on oversized overweight truck usage increased. I'd also really, 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 really like to see some sort of bollard protection. I know this is not this project, but east of First Street on Beecher, you have all of the trucks going there. And now we've got this connection there. I'd love to see something there. Thank you. That's all I have for today.
Thanks. And thank you, Jimmy and Danielle. I don't think there are any other. If there's any more comments, please speak up. But otherwise, I really appreciate your time. We'll share the link for feedback, and we'll look for opportunities to provide feedback in the future, whether it's the meeting next spring or otherwise. Thank you.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Have a good weekend, you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Too. All right. So the next item originally was daylighting, which we are deferring to next month. And the last one was the vacancy. We're working with Alderman Spiker, who is the chair responsible, I think, public work. I can't remember if it's public works or public safety, but he's the chair responsible for nominating Larissa's replacement. So we're working with him on the process to get that done this week. So we'll hopefully have some news soon, but that's kind of all I've got for now.
Just give us the 5-minute warning.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Unless if there are questions, we can talk about it. Otherwise, we can move on to, I think, over the final
Group updates and then new biz.
Yeah. No, yeah, we can move on. So, or do we have any work group updates? I know that we didn't meet for targeted improvements.
I can just really briefly note that at the DPW, well, we had a DPW file. I attended a meeting with Stephen and with Mike on September 23rd. And so that was regarding the Hank Aaron State Trail connections and improvements, and that's just moving forward. There's extant video for those who want to watch it.
No, I think it went really well. The committee seemed really receptive.
Yeah, especially to the signage.
And supportive.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess 4 lanes, what was it, 76th?
Mm-hmm.
The crossing at, what was it, 76th? I forget what, it's not important.
Yeah.
But I think that would be nice too. Were there, because we we also didn't meet this month for target improvements. So I don't know that there's anything else. Did any of the other work groups meet projects?
We met, but we mostly talked about this KK River Trails project. So I think we'll have, yeah, we can talk about it, new business.
Cool. Policies would, I assume that was mostly daylighting related, and there isn't an update, but if somebody from the policies work group has anything.
Right.
There's a third one, right?
That was the strategic partnerships you're talking about. That group has been dormant, I believe.
There was a different one. Maybe not. There's a work group that I forgot. Please speak. Otherwise, we can move on to new business. Did you have something, Anna, that you wanted to bring next month from the projects?
I think that it makes a lot of sense for our committee to express some opinions on that project, specifically the KK parking issue with Maple. And also I think like encouraging hardening on those protected lanes, since they're still discussing about what kind of materials and things will be used. So I think it's a great project. So I think if the work group can draft a letter, we can bring that to the full committee next month.
Yeah, that'd be great. The other new businesses, I will have the daylighting item that we didn't discuss today, so we can discuss that next month. Can't think of anything else. Was there anything that anybody wanted to bring for discussion or decision next month? Cool. I think that's a good start for an agenda. And otherwise we can move into upcoming events and announcements, if anybody has any.
As always, we have critical mass on the last Friday of the month, leaving from Red Arrow Park, arrival 5:30, departure at 6, costumes extremely encouraged.
That'd be next Friday, the 27th.
Yes.
Less events in winter, I guess.
Yeah, it's winding down. It's late fall.
What do you mean? Santa Cycle Rampage, Saturday, December 2nd, world's largest holiday themed costume bike ride. The height of winter.
What day was it? December
2nd. It's always the first Saturday.
Where do we go to register?
Just Google. I can put it in the chat, but Google Santa Cycle Rampage. It'll come up. We got our SEO working pretty good.
Sounds good.
On November 10th, there is a Milwaukee winter bike party at Wheel and Sprocket. There's going to be knowledge stations, raffle prizes, and resources for folks who want to keep riding all winter long.
Does DPW have anything going on? Engagement meetings or feedback or otherwise?
Not that anyone mentioned to me.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Ron?
Hi, yes, I have a question. So for things to talk about for next month, would I still be able to add something or is it too late now?
No, it's not too late.
Okay, so something that I am interested in talking about just because I've struggled with that corridor since I remember is the Cesar Chavez, the 16th Street Cesar Chavez corridor. I would want to like start talking about that and maybe just get the conversation started on what we can do to get some more information to the community members on how they can start making some of those changes to make it safer for people to bike and walk around that area.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. I would read, it's probably, does DPW have anything planned?
There are several projects in the area. Do you have a particular part in mind of the street?
It's basically just on that little on just on the point on 16th Street. It's like a multi-lane, and usually there's just so much traffic around that area that's basically what I want to focus on.
I didn't catch the cross street. Could you say that again?
Yeah, it's the cross street on 16th Street.
And
By it's Scott.
Scott? Okay.
Oh, kind of by National.
Yeah.
Yeah, someone mentioned in the chat specifically the Safe Routes to Transit project. That's one of the major ones in that area. I think there are a few others as well that we can make sure we're all bring together.
How far along are those projects?
Safe Routes to Transit is about halfway through. There's some concepts that we've done some public engagement already, and we're going to bring those back, I think, late winter, early spring for more comments. Ben? Or sorry, no, Aron was first, raised his hand.
Oh, no, I haven't. Do I have to like unraise it? I haven't raised it yet since the other question.
Oh. Your hand was just still up.
Oh,
but
okay, I'll put it down.
No, that's okay. And so I think we can hear from DPW on when those next opportunities to provide feedback on 16th Street for upcoming projects is, because that's probably the most or the best way to kind of get stuff done on 16th Street.
Okay, I will add that.
Ben?
I'm wondering if we could also get an update on the Washington Scott Bike Boulevards, either now or soon in the future. The project timeline on the website is several years outdated, but I've also been hearing from a few different sources that it was like supposed to be done this past summer, but then wasn't started. So I'm just hoping that we can get an update and wrap it into the larger 16th Street Scott discussion.
Yeah. Could we get like just like a written thing between now and the next meeting? If you know, or if anybody in DPW is aware of the status?
So like a written thing in advance of the meeting?
Yeah,
like an item at the meeting?
Yeah, maybe we can decide if we need an item at the meeting, but at least something from DPW on where that's at.
Okay.
Because if there's nothing going on, then I don't know that there's much to discuss. I hope it's not nothing.
Okay, I have noted that.
Cool, thank you. Any other announcements or events? If not, I will motion to adjourn.
Second.
With that, everybody have a great weekend. It's supposed to be nice enough, so enjoy. Thanks for attending.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything, everyone. Cheers.
Good.